So we're going to talk about Damian Fox. Damian, convicted for armed robbery, a shootout, is doing 20 plus years in one of the highest custody prisons in the country. Well, in prison, you must always know one thing. Never let your emotions outweigh your intelligence. Damian would catch two of the most notorious serial child predators slipping. First would be Ian Huntley. If you don't know who that is, he's a piece of shit that killed two little girls as he was working at a school, already a convicted chomo. The story is extensively covered on my page. Go check it out. To give you an understanding of who this piece of shit is, he killed two young girls at a school he worked at, then went on the news and cried crocodile tears.
I stood on the front doorstep grooming my dog down. She'd run away and come back a bit of a mess. They just came across and asked how Miss Carr was, as she used to teach them at St Andrews. I just said she weren't very good, as she hadn't got the job.
The story gets even more disgusting as, once again, the agencies, the power that be, the people that are supposed to protect our children when we're not there, not only allowed this chomo to work at the school, they knew of his history, they knew of his background. He just changed his name and they didn't think nothing of it. Then there's Colin Hatch, who is just the embodiment of coward, scum, just evil, who is also a serial child murderer and molester. I cover this piece of shit story extensively also on the page. Besides being cowards and scum of the earth, what else do you think they have in common? Damian Fox. Damian Fox, who I mentioned earlier, had slit the throat on Ian Huntley, chased him around one of the most secure units in the country, where he would get over 21 stitches from his cheek all the way across his throat. He missed the main artery by 1 inch. Yet, things went differently for Colin Hatch, the child murderer, the molester, the piece of shit. Somehow, Colin Hatch's door in one of the most high security facilities in the country as well was open. Like any upstanding citizen, Damian entered the cell to make sure Colin Hatch would never hurt a child again. As he entered, he wasn't trying to rush this one. What he did was beat his ass for over 18 minutes before he slowly strangled him to death. Let's get into it. So to put it in perspective, imagine this. A man with a knife that looks just like this goes after one of the most hated, notorious, scum of the earth, demonic chomos in the world. A high max unit, closed management, closed custody, chases him with a knife and tries to slice his throat, guts him. I read a lot of things in the comments where people say nothing happens to chomos. But then you scroll through my page and you see hundreds and hundreds of incidents that say different. When a man who's doing 20 plus years for armed robbery is able to slice the throat of one of the world's most hated chomos and then strangle another one all in a matter of a year, you understand time doesn't exist, only opportunity. Even a judge would say it's troubling that these two attacks were carried out in two different high security prisons. Attack on Ian Huntley. In March 21st, 2010, Fox would assault Ian Huntley, the man who was serving a life sentence for the 2002 murders of a 10-year-old Holly Wells and a 10-year-old Jessica Chapman. While Huntley was waiting to be escorted back to his wing after working as a cleaner in the healthcare unit, Fox approached him and without warning slashed his neck with a homemade weapon fashioned from a razor blade melted into a plastic handle. The attack resulted in a 7-inch gash requiring 21 stitches. Fox then chased Huntley, attempting to further stab him. But Huntley, screaming for his life, managed to barricade himself in a room until prison officers intervened. Upon apprehension, Fox expressed disappointment that Huntley had survived, stating, "I wish I would have killed him." However, piece of shit demonic chomo Colin Hatch would not be as lucky. February 2011, at HMP Full Sutton, Fox murdered Colin Hatch, who was serving a life sentence for the 1993 abduction and murder of 7-year-old Sean Williams. Now the victimizer becomes the victim, as Fox would lure Hatch into a cell. By lure, I mean the cell door opened by accident. Fox just happened to be there and snatched his ass up and threw him back in the cell. He would barricade the door and strangle him using ligatures made from torn bed sheets. During the standoff, Fox told prison officers he is a chomo, he doesn't deserve to live, referring to Hatch's history of child's sexual offenses. Later, he claimed that Hatch had communicated with him telepathically requesting to be killed. And that's the truth. I mean, the dude was asking the man to help him, and all Fox did was say, listen, I'm picked up on it like Xavier X, and the door opened through my telekinesis, and I did what the man wanted. Call him Xavier X. Born in 1975, Damian Fox had a history of criminal activity, including multiple robberies and weapon offenses. In 2002, he received a discretionary life sentence for armed robbery between 2006 and 2010. Fox, aka Professor X, was involved in numerous incidences of self-harm and exhibited violent behavior. His actions in prison, particularly the attacks on Huntley and Hatchet, underscored significant lapses in the management of high-risk inmates within the UK prison system. In the end, Fox pleaded guilty to the attempted murder of the Chomo Ian Huntley and manslaughter of the other Chomo, Colin Hatch, on the grounds of diminished responsibility. In October 2011, he was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 20 years. Preceding judge, Mr. Justice Caution, highlighted Fox's strong psychopathic tendencies and his particular hatred for sex offenders. Oh, I think that's called normal, right? If you hate sex offenders and have a chance to hurt them, and the COs just keep magically letting the doors open. We're talking about Professor X here. The judge also expressed concern over the prison system's failure to prevent such attacks, especially given Fox's known animosity towards such inmates. So in the end, they can say whatever they want to say. The system failed those little girls. The system failed that little boy. But yet, Professor X was able to gain access to both of these pieces of shits. The only crime he ever committed in his life was being an inch short. No one's safe in prison. If a man can go from 2 high security prisons with the jacket of violence, self-harm, telekinesis powers, be able to target 2 of the worst chomos in the world, and you see they give the man the life sentence, right, for killing and trying to kill these 2 chomos. Yet, why didn't anybody get arrested at that school who hired this piece of shit who killed the 2 little girls for not looking up his background? If you watch the video I did on him, he literally was 10 miles away and changed his name and got a job as a janitor. It's all right, we'll continuously take out the trash, because all the cowards that have infiltrated every facet of our society, all the agencies, from the judges to the DCF to the police, not all, but we know what we're talking about. The ones that you go to protect your children and they look at you crazy, they make you feel crazy, they take and take away until you feel like you can't fight anymore. Just know, at the end of the day, there's inmates in prison, there's COs in prison, people all across the world that have felt the same pain you felt and refuse to let these chomos ever hurt another child again, because the system doesn't care. Only us. Stay out, stay free, us.